What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host, the PJ North, on all the socials. What's going on, man? It's been a crazy few weeks. I was off last week racing, but I got to see all the wrestling. Obviously, the week before that was Money in the Bank, so we did our big prediction show. I won the pool. Shout out to me because I am brilliant. Even though I didn't pick all the stuff that I picked on the show, but that doesn't matter. We're going to talk about Money in the Bank today. We're going to talk about all things wrestling happening in the last few weeks because it's been crazy. But before we get there, as you know, if you're watching live on Twitch, thank you. Appreciate you. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button or however it works there. If you're watching live on YouTube on Friday or any day after tonight, thank you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell your friends. Share it. We love to hear your thoughts on all the stuff that we're talking about. Comment on the shorts. Do all those things. And if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, don't forget just to leave a 5-star or a 1-star review. You know how that goes. So please do that. And follow us on all socials. We are at AroundTheMatPod. You know, we haven't I've been off for a week. This is what happens when you're off for a week. You lose a little bit of your juice. So with that being said, we're here Around the Mat Pod, and I am back with the Ticket God, the main stooge himself, Freddie Briscoe, Fred DeCourt. What up, baby? How you doing, man?
What is up, man? Happy to be back on the pod. I know we skipped it last week. A lot's been going on in the world of wrestling, as it always is. We're on the road to SummerSlam. Fantastic Money in the Bank a couple weeks ago. And I'm excited to talk about it with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us back again. And Fred, before we get too far into it, I want to know, tell me, you went to your we give Fred a hard time because he's WWE religious, but he made it to an indie event yesterday in New Jersey. What was that like, checking it all out? I know Cardona was there, Mandy Sachs was there, Dana Brooke. What was the vibe?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And it was down the shore at Martel's Tiki Bar, which I go to frequently. And
Shout out to the Tiki Bar.
Shout out to Tiki Bar. Yes, sir. Tiki Teas all day. So just seeing a wrestling ring on the beach right there, it was really cool. Reminded me of like WCW, like old WCW shows that they did it.
Sure.
You know, actually the beach they didn't do on the beach, which was ironic, but
right.
Like they, you know,
that one they did, but way back in the day was on the beach, right? You remember that one way back in '95?
Maybe yes. The first one, right?
They were. It was Bash at the Beach technically in '90. Well, I guess that was Beach Blast in '93.
Yeah.
So something like that. But yeah, either way, it was. I agree. So seeing a wrestling ring on the beach is kind of fun.
So that was really cool. Yeah, it was a fun show. Hung out, talked to Matt Cardona a little bit, and the Mark in me asked him. I said, "Listen, first off, when are you coming back?" And he said when they want to pay me. And then I said, all right, now I got to ask you this. I figured I knew the answer, but I just wanted to hear what he would say. I said, if you were to come back, are you Zack Ryder or are you Matt Cardona? And he said, oh, Matt Cardona. He didn't even think about it. He's like, Zack Ryder's dead.
Wow. Okay.
I said, I agree. I said, I just was curious.
He's been gone long enough now where people probably really do just know him as Matt Cardona.
Yeah, and right? I think he needs to do that if he were to come back, because as great as Zack Ryder was at one point, he was over, right? But he was silly, right?
Yeah, agreed.
He wants to break away from that. I think he has to get away from the name.
Sure.
Even if it's a character change, having that name is still going to be, whatever. So anyway, sidetrack. But it was a lot of fun, and be cool to see if they do it again for sure.
Shout out. I'm gonna give Fred points just for going to an indie event. I'm so happy that he was able to make it. I try to talk him into stuff all the time whenever we're at Mania.
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm not doing it, but that's cool.
I know. Well, Mania's hard for me. I barely can do what I gotta do.
Honestly, it's tough, right? Yeah, I agree with that. Well, with that being said, again, we are back at Around the Mat, and we start with the headlines and what the headlines read. This week, we're gonna start first with Rhea Ripley and Dom Mysterio recreate the Eddie and Chyna on Raw. Honestly, man, Rhea back 2 weeks ago was incredible. I thought that was a great return. We called it. That's exactly what we expected to happen at that point. It was awesome. Just a really, really great Raw. There was a lot of great segments on Raw. I actually agree. You know, this is like the first time where I'm like, hey, the segments were actually really, really good. The wrestling to me was a little whatever, but it doesn't have to be. I don't really see Priest and Strowman. I didn't get that. But all that to be said, the Rhea Ripley Dom thing is really, really carried Raw, and I thought that was really, really great. And I like the callback back to the Eddie and Chyna. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they've been doing a really good job with all this. I mean, everything was cool with Rhea and Dom before anything, but ever since Rhea has been out and the whole thing has been happening with Liv and
Yeah.
Dom, and that it's all been really good. And then happening, now with Rhea's return and
Yeah.
just I think they've been doing a phenomenal job. I love the Eddie Guerrero callback
I did
stuff.
too.
And
It's
Rhea
just so
dressed like
funny that they
Chyna,
stay with
kinda.
the Eddie thing,
I
knowing
know,
that
I
Reyes
know.
is there. It's so wild that they just like
It really
hammer it
is.
home. I love that.
So I'm very excited to see what happens with going forward. I'm
Sure.
excited for the match at SummerSlam. To be honest with you, Rhea and Liv is actually one of the most anticipated matches for me at SummerSlam.
Agreed, 100%. I think they did it really good. Now let me ask you something. Do you think Rhea was actually injured?
It's funny. So I do think she was.
Okay.
I do, but
I think
if
it just
she
worked out
wasn't,
where she got married. She had her time to do all that stuff, and like
Right.
that's why I thought like, oh, maybe she wasn't injured. She just needed some time off.
who knows?
That's what I think they should do.
But it worked out. Whether she was injured or not, her being away. Because like when she got hurt, I was like, "Oh, that sucks." Like she just won the title at WrestleMania, right? Or no, she retained the title.
Yeah, she retained. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So like,
yeah, retained against Becky. And like now she's hurt right after Mania. Like that sucks. We knew Becky was going to be leaving for a bit. Becky ended up staying an extra month. So they put the title on her, whatever. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise because we got the whole Liv and Dom thing. So it worked out.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think I couldn't
it was
really
almost
tell.
like too perfect, right?
Yeah, it worked out good, which is great. That's how good stories are told, right? When things like that happen, they're able to do that.
Sometimes an injury can be one of the best things
for everybody.
Look at Stone Cold, right?
1,000%. Yeah.
That time period, I mean, he was on the show, but that time period that he was hurt in '97, was when he really got over.
1,000%. I agree, man. It's a good one. All right, good Raw. This next one, again, you may not know anything about it, but I read, and so I just started to watch, and I asked in the chat today because I thought it was pretty prevalent. But the Southern Six win the Crockett Cup. Why I chose this as a headline is the Crockett Cup's always something that I really enjoyed. I love tag team wrestling, as we've talked about. I also love tag teams that are actual tag teams. And one of the things about NWA and some of these other groups is that they just don't have a lot of tag teams, very tag team specific, and I thought it was really cool. I also saw the promo that Ricky Morton cut while in Texas, which I thought was hilarious, and he said if the United States needed an enema, they would put it right here in the middle of Texas. And it was like really over. I was like, damn, that was really good. Like just Ricky Morton. So the reason I brought this up is I watched NWA Power and I watched the final episode and it was really, really cool. And I thought the production value is a pretty neat thing. And I was very interested to see if anybody else was watching it. This is the first time I've seen it on CW. I watched a lot of their stuff when they do it in the Georgia, at their like TV studio or whatever. And I think it's cool. But I thought this production value was really, really good that NWA was doing. And I was like, okay, I could get behind this. Like, this is a cool production for an indie company because they're not a big company. They have a lot of main eventers, but this is like it's a place where people are burgeoning or veterans are going to. EC3 wrestled Sam Adonis, which was it was a really cool thing. And so all that to say, the Crockett Cup still alive and well. I thought the tag team wrestling was awesome. So my question to you, have you seen anything NWA related? Outside of just like Instagram or something, have you ever watched an episode?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Back in the day, I had really wanted to get into NWA Power because I was intrigued by the idea, like when it was on YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
And I had seen like clips of it, but
Sure.
I remember Wade Barrett was involved.
Yeah.
And,
they had some guys, right? Aldis was world champ. They were really doing it.
Yeah. And so I was going to actually start getting into it, and then I just never really watched it.
Sure.
And now I've lost track of everything that has been going on. But that is cool to hear. I mean, I do like the old school, and I like when they bring things back from the past and things like that. So the fact that they're doing the Crockett Cup is a cool concept. And,
the
NWA.
Agreed, and that's the cool thing. I think that the Crockett Cup's a really cool thing. I also think the NWA 10 pounds of gold is it's one of my favorite title belts outside of the IWGP Kazuchika Okada belt. Like that NWA 10 pounds of gold is number one title belt for me. I love it. So it's cool to see that out there too. Again, it's still a little low production in the sense of like it's an indie event, but they don't have the same things that you see when other indies try to do like a televised thing. That's very well produced from a sound perspective, from a visual perspective, they do a good job. And it may have just been the Texas venue that they were in. I thought was pretty cool. So all that to say, check out NWA Power. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, Billy Corgan's still there doing his thing, and his entrance music he does the intro music, obviously the Smashing Pumpkins on the show. It's pretty cool. You should listen to it. It's a cool thing. All right, last headline, and this is the one that really matters. We talked about this in the chat last night. Was Will Ospreay versus MJF, which as a pure, in the sense of pure wrestling fan, right? Less the soap opera thing. I love all of it, but I'm saying, like, I do love the in-ring thing. Last night to me was potentially the greatest TV wrestling match of all time. I thought that the pacing was amazing. The storytelling that they did in the ring was amazing. The end of the match where they gave him oxygen and Will Ospreay, like, that was really like a little touch where you're like, okay, Will, that's how you know Will is still over, because they didn't have to, you know what I mean? And MJF is like, I had to do all that to keep up. That's a cool way of basically building someone who took 2 straight losses right now. Ospreay's lost to Swerve, and now he's lost to MJF. Now, obviously, he didn't lose 2 straight because he beat Daniel Garcia, but you get my point. Yeah. All that to say, I thought it was the greatest TV match of all time, potentially, that I've seen. And, of course, obviously, it's in recent memory, so that helps. There's a lot of others. There's the Danielson Hangman. There's the Arthur Ashe 30-minute Iron. There's a lot of stuff. There's WWE matches like the Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin always comes to mind because that's one of the greatest spots, right, of all time. There's the greatest finishers, right? That one segment that they show from SmackDown where everybody hits their finisher. That's a great match because it's a really cool moment on TV. And that goes all into the save. But I thought last night was potentially maybe the greatest match ever. And you mentioned Cena versus HBK in 2007. And I want to know 2 things. Do you really think that's the greatest match? If not, what is? And how in your right mind could you ever say Cena was involved in one of the greatest wrestling? I love Cena. I do. I love Super Cena. He's awesome, whatever. But, like, realistically, how could you say that?
I mean, listen, I mean, you know, you want to get into a work rate conversation, whatever, but last night's match was amazing. I'm not going to sit here and say, it was good, it was okay. No, it was amazing. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm not going to say it's not one of the best matches.
No, obviously, right.
TV,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's not that. It's just, I mean, maybe it's because,
so do you, first off, do you really think Cena HBK from UK was like was that a real thing?
When I think of like the best TV matches, like if somebody were to ask me in the streets, tomorrow, or next week, whatever, what's the best wrestling match you've ever seen on TV? That's probably going to be the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay.
Now, could that also be because I've had that in my mind as one of the best TV matches for the last?
I'm going to go back and watch it tonight just because you said it.
16 years, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's been embedded. Sometimes like these matches, like even when they are good, like they're good because they've been good in your head for years.
That's a great point because a lot of people, including myself, think of the last thing you saw that was great, right? There's it was immediately in my brain. And so you're the opposite where it's like, this has been ingrained in my brain forever.
I look at it like, look, I mean, how many people will to this day, even though there's been better matches maybe, will tell you that the greatest match of all time is Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, it's ingrained in
and why is that? Yes, it was a great match, but it's the greatest match of people because it's been the greatest match
forever. You've
been told that for 4 or 5, 36 years. You've been told it's the greatest match, it's the greatest match. Sure. And I think Shawn Michaels and Undertaker from 25. I mean, now that was already 15 years ago, which is fucking crazy. But like, that is going to be the greatest because it's been the greatest match for the last 15 years. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It just builds this aura of it. Sure. So, I think you could look at it either way. But it's all, it's all subjective too.
100%. Yeah,
right?
1,000%.
And I think too, what impressed me, like it did last night, is I was in like with the Shawn Michaels Cena, is that I was impressed that Cena, especially Cena in 2007, Cena in 2007 didn't have the reputation that Cena.
No, because he was still, he was really doing. 2007 was like peak. He was over the rap thing, but he was over. Right? I mean, like over at that point. I mean, he was.
Cena at that point hadn't really not that I'm gonna
Well,
sit here and
he
say
wasn't a
Cena was
10-year
never on
veteran
greatest
of a guy you
matches.
could depend on every day, right?
Right.
Yet,
But
right.
Cena got to a point where like Cena, you knew could have like great matches. Look
Oh
at his
yeah,
matches with
1000%.
AJ Styles. Look at his
Yeah.
matches with CM Punk. You know,
Yep.
whatever. But at that time in 07, nobody was going to tell you that Cena could put on a fucking classic.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
So I think that was a big deal. Like, holy shit, Cena fucking.
Yeah.
He went like an hour with Shawn and like,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. Just like I think you could say the same with MJF. Like, I don't think people expected that out of MJF. I mean, yes, he had an Iron Man match on a pay-per-view with who was the Iron Man match with?
Well, I'm sorry. What? Who?
MJF.
Oh, MJF's Iron Man was with. Damn, who was that?
Well, it doesn't matter, but that was a big proving point for him. Like, because MJF, he's a great character, but he's not really known for his work rate.
No, yeah, because he's so talked about on the microphone,
right?
That he's almost never talked about in ring.
Right. So yeah. So I think like last night proved that that he could go.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. That's cool, man. Like I said, it was an interesting. I had to have that interesting conversation about Cena because I wanted to know someone to say that. Like, I've just never heard that. No one's ever to me said in any capacity that Cena has one of the greatest matches of all time. He's got a lot of great storytelling. He's been in amazing feuds, but I've just never, other than the RVD, because that moment was so electric, right?
Right.
But either way, great conversation to that point. Those are the headlines. So shout out to that. Before we go too far, also, man, shout out to my Chris Hero tee. Are you rocking a wrestling tee this week or no?
I am. I got the.
What do you got?
You can't see it with the way my camera's set up, but Macho
Man.
Oh,
he's got a Macho Man tank. All right. Also,
yeah.
It's funny that you did that. One of my best friends in racing, TJ Coughlin. Shout out to Tej. Man, he's a big wrestler. He's not a big wrestling fan, but he's of course knows the famous ones, and he's watched wrestling as a kid. But he always says, he's like, man, what if I'm in the win? He's a professional drag racer. He races pro stock for a living. He says, what if when I win, I go down there and I just go full Macho Man in the interview? And I was like, how about this? I'll give you $500 right now if you do it next time you're interviewed. Doesn't even have to be the winner's circle. It can be qualifying, they ask you. If you just go down there and you're like, freak out. And he's always, so I send him random messages about that all the time.
I love it.
So shout out to Tej. Also, shout out to Double Bogey Golf Apparel, man. He's a buddy of mine, and he was supposed to join us. He couldn't join us this week, but shout out to Matt Clark. He's going to join us soon. He's a big wrestling fan as well, and I got some swag from him. He's got a golf apparel brand, so shout out to Double Bogey there. All right. With that being said, we are a week behind, but that's okay. Money in the Bank. Let me give it some time here on the clock. Money in the Bank grades. What was your favorite match? How you feeling about the build to SummerSlam? Tell me what you're thinking, Freddie.
So, favorite match. I'm gonna have to go with the main event, the 6-man tag. I love the 6-man tag. I mean, of course, the Money in the Bank matches are always really good. I thought
shout out to Cody
good.
Taking the pin. I made that.
Yeah.
Miguel put out that in the as the bonus question. Who's going to take the pin? Everybody picked Kevin Owens or Randy Orton, and I was like,
right. We discussed that. I think here that
exactly. And I was like, there's no after that thought. After he said that, I was like, and I'm like late. I'm gonna add the comment. It's like ASAP, and I'm like, oh, I gotta pick. And I was like, oh, they're pinning Cody because they're building Solo. They're definitely pinning. This is like a WWE thing. They pin the champion in these matches so that you have a build for the pay-per-view, the next big one like this. And I was like, only person to pick Cody. That won me the pool.
I was going to say, is that how you ended up winning?
That is how because I missed Damian Priest and Seth. And so I was behind. Okay. And so then I got that match right, and I got the Cody thing, and I beat D-Tank, man. Shout out to Danny Drip Drip, but he took that L like the cuck that he is. All right, sorry. So favorite match was the main event.
Yeah, main event. I thought all the matches were good. I mean, I know we had the issue, in the Damian Priest Rollins match.
Like I said, man, that thing is so. And that's that happens. Do you think he was knocked out?
No, I don't. I haven't heard that he was.
So, do you think the production missed the Drew music?
They may have, yeah.
Because there's no other reason why he didn't kick out, right? They would just be like, "Oh shit, I forgot to kick out."
Unless it was a ref issue, I don't know. Something was up.
It's crazy. It's kind of weird. Yeah, that was. I feel like it adds a little intrigue to the match because it's like, oh, the ref did this. I think it adds to it in the long run. Yeah, I think it added to it, and I think the match was still really great. Otherwise, you know what I mean. So I thought that was really good.
Love the Punk involvement. You know that obviously. You know,
yeah, it was clutch.
Chelsea Green's bump. Shout out to Chelsea Green for that bump. Shit.
So that's what I said, right? And I was like, oh, obviously she's going through the table at some point. And then I showed you that. And I said, I can't believe TNA didn't immediately put the Slammiversary clip up. I don't know what happened.
Somebody wasn't working that night.
Right? The intern was off.
Their social media guy was just off because they are on it. As soon as she landed, they would have posted that.
What were your thoughts on the women's ladder? Again, I said in the chat that I thought it started so slow and there were so many like dangerous I don't want to use the word botch because I'm not a wrestler. Not good. But like there were so many missed things that were like really dangerous. And I was like, this is not good until it really paced at the end and they got really, it ended up being one of the best. Like it was amazing. But I felt like at the beginning, I was like, these should not be doing that. Like Zoe Stark tried to knock herself out like 4 times.
You know, I think too, a lot of these, I mean, even a lot of the men, they don't have necessarily experience in ladder matches, right? But a lot of the women especially don't. And a lot of them are, you know, newer as it is to the wrestling business, let alone being in a ladder match.
Sure.
So I think that's a lot of it. I think feeling, you know, getting the
1,000%.
You know, it takes a little while to, and they're not necessarily going to be doing stuff that they're going to go over before, you know, before the match, right? They're not taking those.
No, and that, like I said, I just was worried. Like I was like, damn, this like looks really dangerous right now.
Yeah,
like,
it is. Well, it is. You know, I mean, that's the thing with these ladder matches. Like, you learn how to wrestle. You don't learn how to fall.
No, like how do you? There's no way to learn to fall. There's no way to take that.
Like, I mean,
I'm not. Look, you don't go to wrestling school and the guy's like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. You've learned how to take an arm drag. Now I'm gonna set up this ladder as a prop across the ring and the barrier, and I'm gonna throw you off the. I'm not doing that more than once. I'm gonna just take a guess.
Stop wrestling and it just becomes stunt work now.
Yeah,
you know?
It's crazy. But I thought overall, like I said, you know. So what did you give the whole pay-per-view as an overall grade?
I'd give it a B+.
Okay.
I'd give it a B+. I thought it was solid. I thought nothing, you know, earth-shattering happened. Oh, well, yes, actually, that's a damn lie. One of the most earth-shattering
Braun
things
losing
of the year. Well, no. Cena announcing.
Yeah, the Cena. Yeah, that was crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was really – I was taken aback by that too, and I thought, what a weird time to do this. And then I was like, but it's actually the perfect time to do it. Like, what you don't want to take away from one of the other ones, and any later he wouldn't have been seen. You know, because this was the time he could make it, right? Like in his schedule.
Never seen.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I will say I give it overall. I actually gave it a B. I gave it an A, like A- in that ballpark.
Wow, you gave it a better grade than I did. Shit.
I told you, man. I just don't think WWE's missed on any of their PLEs.
No, they really haven't. No.
And I thought all the matches were good. I thought Drew winning and immediately cashing in was the best thing for that because they had the opposite last year where Damian carried it the whole year. They gave Tiffany a really good showing. She's able to now carry that around. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with the Money in the Bank briefcase yet. Like she hasn't like designed it.
She's definitely getting one. She's even said. I'm surprised. I know it's been a couple weeks now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So they kind of did the opposite. Normally the women's they get rid of right away, right? And the men's they hold.
Yeah, because they need to build. They have the 2 other women's stories are already going on, so you don't really have her jumping in yet. And they gave the King of the Ring a title shot already. Yeah. So I think it's cool to have her build and carry for a while and like just like destroy everybody and then wait to do what she's gonna do. I think it'll be really fun. But yeah,
I think she's gonna be really good with it. She's perfect for that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what she does. But yeah, man, I thought it was really, really great. The main event was cool. It built really well. And that I'll be honest, they did the right thing not putting Tama Tonga in there. As I've mentioned, then I saw the thing and he potentially had a concussion when he took the dive when Cody hit him. Was it Cody hit him or KO hit him? Either way, someone pushed someone out of the way and he hit him. But he hit his – and then that's why when he tried to do that low blow, he whacked Tama Tonga in the head.
That was –
which was hilarious because – but I'm telling you, like, Tonga Loa is a liability in the ring.
How is he so bad and yet at the level that he's at?
Oh man, you got to think, dude. Nepotism runs rampant in
guess,
wrestling,
but-
and he's also been carried by his brother. I mean, him and Tama were a tag team for like 8 years.
Oh yeah, right. But even that, I'm saying.
Yeah, but
He
dude,
got to
someone
that
had to be Marty
level.
Jannetty. I don't know. Like his
Yeah.
Tama just carried him for a long time. Don't get me wrong. Like he has. It's almost like he has good time. I would rather him just be outside forever and just
More
be
of an
like that.
enforcer
Yeah, an
type thing.
enforcer and just do because he's. But he's
He's
just.
got a good look and like
Yeah.
present, but
But
yeah.
man, Fatu, dude, Jacob Fatu is.
oh, he's gonna be a star.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for him.
I'm
I
happy
think.
for him.
Yeah, I hope they did a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I thought it was really good, man. I gave it an A. Pretty good. Money in the bank. All right. Up next, early SummerSlam predictions. We're a few weeks away. Fred is going to be at SummerSlam in Cleveland, taking it all in. But I want to know your wildest predictions right now because we'll look at it in 2 weeks and we'll talk about the pick'em and all those things. But what's your wildest prediction as we sit, where we sit right now? What's your wildest prediction for SummerSlam?
I mean, I don't think it's really a wild prediction, but I mean, it'd be crazy. I mean, I think Roman Reigns making his big return and costing Solo the title, ironically helping Cody retain the title.
Do you think it's a helping Cody thing or it's just costing Solo?
So, well, inevitably he's doing both, right?
Sure.
It doesn't have to be,
Sure.
but I think that makes it even crazier. Is like, not only is he coming after Solo, but he just helped the guy that beat him at WrestleMania and ended his historic reign.
Yeah.
And helped him win now. Like, I don't know. I just think you could do something with that, and like you kind of have almost like especially if they're going with the babyface run with Roman, like you kind of like where Roman and Cody just have this like kind of respect for each other.
Sure.
And eventually it could lead, to Roman and Cody again. Of
yeah,
course,
I mean they're gonna rumble again at some point,
right?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, you kind of have it like we're not fucking friends. We're not gonna be a tag team, but like,
right.
I respect you, bro. You beat me at WrestleMania. You ended this. That props to you. And I think that'll help Roman get over as a babyface too. But I don't, but I think the bigger story is obviously coming after Solo.
Yeah, 1,000%. I that's a good prediction. Here's my thing. Cody obviously has the A title. We've talked about the World Heavyweight title possibly being a B title if you want to call it that. But Cody's the face of the company, right?
Right.
Where's Cody going if Roman comes back and takes out Solo? Because now that title, yes, it still matters, but it's not your main storyline. So we're going Cody versus Orton at some point, whether they want
to has to happen. I thought that was going to happen at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
For a while. That's really where I thought we were going.
Yeah. Did you see? I thought that thing was a little corny last week on SmackDown where he was like, I'm going to have your back when everybody else comes after it too. And it's like, that's a cool setup because that's going to obviously lead to a turn because that's what Randy Orton does. But, I don't know, man. I think that I'm interested to see how that takes away from the world title or what they do if Roman does come back. I would say my wildest prediction is that Damian loses the title, and I think that he never touches it again.
Well, that is a bold prediction. Boy, you got no stock in fucking Damian.
No, I like Damian a lot. I don't have stock in him as a babyface at all.
Well, how about Gunther telling Damian Priest that his title reign has been nothing?
Because it has been. And that's he's saying the best thing about wrestling is when wrestlers say shit that we all think.
Yeah.
Right? That's some of the best moments. We all love that shit. Yeah. And Gunther saying is that his run has been absolute dog shit. It's not he's terrible on the microphone as a babyface. He does this like half babyface thing and he kind of stumbles and I'm like go out there. I'm the fucking world champ.
Yeah, I love Damian Priest. Yeah, I do get this sense sometimes that like maybe he doesn't believe what he says.
That's where my point is. Right? He's not believable as a champ, and I've said that in the chat a bunch. And I think that's the biggest thing. So that's my bold prediction is that he loses the title and he doesn't sniff it again for a while. There's so many main event guys right now. So many, and I really wish, honestly, I don't wish that Gunther takes the title off him. I really, truly believe that Finn Balor should be the guy to take it off of him because that's the storyline, and them wrestling for the title means way more than just them wrestling.
Oh, yeah. No, I want that as a big match I want. And I thought we were going to maybe get that at SummerSlam originally.
Yeah.
Before the whole Gunther,
Yeah, before they
happened.
strap Finn with the tag titles again.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever there. I don't know what I'm going to say. But either way, that's kind of my bold prediction right now. We'll see what happens, man. I do like Gunther a lot, obviously. I think he's a fucking
I'm
awesome.
excited for him and Priest. I think they're going to have a good match.
Yeah. I also think Gunther's really believable on the mic.
He is, because he's no flash. You know, he's just real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I
agreed.
Does he win it at SummerSlam? I don't know. I'm not saying I don't see him not winning the title yet, but is it too soon? I mean, I don't know. When's too soon? You know, who's
is it ever really too soon?
Exactly. You know.
I agree.
So.
All right. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
SummerSlam coming up in a few weeks. We'll talk about pick 'em next week, and obviously, or 2 weeks from now. All right. Oh, that's the wrong one. It is time for the randomizer, where I pick random topic to talk about, go through. We hash it out a little bit. And this week, I am going to go with, who is your most overrated wrestler of all time? Who is the most overrated wrestler of all time in your mind, Freddie?
That's a good question.
I know. I'm getting really
good at it. You should have maybe warned me on that. Overrated wrestler. I mean, I don't think he's technically overrated, because I guess people shit on how he is as a wrestler. But I Goldberg, I think, is a,
okay.
That doesn't.
This is your
power.
thought. What do you think?
His star power or anything like that. You could say the same. I hate to talk ill of the dead, but you could say the same thing about Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
But again, you know how I look at the business. If they're a star, that's what matters. If they sell tickets, they draw. That's what's important, right?
Yep.
But if you want to just about wrestler, I think Goldberg or Ultimate Warrior are two of the biggest ones that were as big as they were, that really were that bad at wrestling.
That threw me off. That caught me off guard that you said it that way. That's good.
I mean, there's been guys that have been better than others, right? Not everybody's great.
It's not about see, this is why it goes back to the work rate thing. How much does work rate matter? And I've said that. That's why we had that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
But has there been anybody that has been as big as they have been without being as bad as they are? Like, you get what I mean?
With Goldberg is he wasn't really a bad wrestler. He just never had to have big matches. They built that, and they built.
Well, it's not his
Warrior
fault.
The same thing.
He was
Warrior
never trained properly, or not trained properly. He was never put in situations to learn that. And then by the time he got to WWE,
the problem is Warrior wasn't actually a bad wrestler. Like, just he was.
And that's not. And I'm not. Listen, I think Ultimate Warrior is awesome, right? As far as
super racist. Outside of that, he was great.
Well, other than that, as far as wrestling is concerned,
no.
I
don't want to speak ill of the dead either.
I think he was awesome, right?
He was awesome, man. As a kid,
I wasn't a fan as a kid, so I didn't grow up being
obviously
right. Fan, but if I was, I would have been a fan of the Ultimate Warrior.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I get it. The face paint, the muscles, the castle, colors, the entrance, everything. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But he, as far as wrestling is concerned, he was terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
He did have a couple good men, him and Hogan, him and Savage, that's because the other guys carried him, you know what I mean?
Isn't that crazy to think that Hulk Hogan carried Ultimate
Warrior? Hogan gets a bad rap.
No, I'm just saying, but think about that.
I'm not here and say Hogan is Daniel Bryan,
That's not the point, right? Yeah, I agree.
But, Hogan's not.
No. Hogan we had this conversation the other day in the chat, too. Hogan can carry a wrestling match back then, because he's a great storyteller in the ring. He makes you believe that he's going to go down potentially. No matter how many times I watched WrestleManias 1 through 8, I knew he was going to he's going to win.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The leg was coming, but
it's awesome.
Yeah,
so I thought that was cool. Okay, most overrated wrestler. For me, I was going to mess with you. and say Undertaker, but I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I wouldn't. You'd have just exited. That would have been great. Would have been great for ratings. No, just kidding. But I will say, actually, in that same vein, is Kevin Nash. I think Kevin Nash is the most overpaid, overrated wrestler. I know he did a lot of great stuff for TNA. He was really good for those younger wrestlers, and but overarching, I'm not a big man wrestler fan. Like, I like them and they're cool, but I don't know. It's just not really my thing, per se. And so Kevin Nash is one of those guys. He also never differed his move set. I felt like it was always the same. It never changed. And so, yeah, that was kind of my thing. Kevin Nash is mine. Most shout out to Big Kev, Big Sexy. Sorry, bruh. It'd be like that sometimes. But yeah, it's my most overrated wrestler. All right. We are going to do, instead of one has to go, we're going to mix it up this time. We are doing best of the worst. We're bringing it back around. Best of the worst. And I thought this because, honestly, I couldn't think. I like to stump you with one has to go. And I just couldn't think of a really great one.
Yeah, you do get me with those.
But this time, best of the worst, and you got to keep one forever. Jobbers of the new generation. So this is new generation wrestling specific era. These are 4 of the worst gimmicks and wrestlers to go down in history. In the top left, he is Duke the Dumpster Droese. In the top right, it is Friar Ferguson. In the bottom left, it is Bastion Booger. And in the bottom right, it is the Professor Dean. I guess he's the Dean, whatever. Dean Douglas. In the bottom right. So best of the worst, Freddie. Who you keeping?
Oof. Jeez. God. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, they're all bad, dude. I was trying. It didn't take long to put that one together because I was like, the new generation had so many trash, like the Goon. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
the Goon, yeah. You
so
could,
many
you could have had
bad
a whole we could do a whole podcast on it.
I know. Wrestle Crap has that covered. That's why I thought we would just pick these 4.
Yeah. You know what I'll go with? Okay, I'll go with Dean Douglas. And I'll tell you why. This is how I'm going to get my way out of this one. Dean Douglas, because then I can repackage him and make him the franchise Shane Douglas on WWE TV. So I'll keep him because the other 3 I ain't doing shit with. What am I?
Yeah, he unfortunately was too early to be the franchise, right? That would have been cool. That's why they changed his gimmick, right, and made him that way.
But no,
WWE was too. I'm sorry, WWF was still in the new generation era, so he couldn't be the franchise guy that he was in ECW because he was doing the franchise thing in '93 when they threw the belt away.
He dropped the ECW title and he trashed Ric Flair and all that shit.
Yeah.
I think Shane Douglas. I think he could be on an underrated list. Yeah, especially because he never had a WWE run.
Well, he unfortunately injuries really ruined his career after ECW because when he went to WCW, he was hurt for basically the entire time with that elbow injury.
Right.
The only problem is you don't get to repackage him. He's stuck as Dean Douglas.
All right, I'll still pick him because he's at least in shape and look decent on TV and he looks like a wrestler at least. Terrible gimmick, but looks like a wrestler.
I've never been more grossed out than with Bastion Booger, so I just couldn't pick that. That was so bad.
I did pop, and I was actually there. Raw 15, they brought him out.
Oh,
he's passed on now. So, so again, not ill of the dead, but that was. I mean, it was. He was great for like a haha. But
yeah. Same with Friar Ferguson. I actually think he's the same person, right?
People think the booking was bad a few years ago in WWE before.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Go watch 1995 and let me know.
You know what's crazy though is that sometimes when I play WWE 2K, I tell you, I do like the universe mode and I do my own like fictional universe that's based on different generations, and so I have a WWF New Generation era because I really actually liked some of those stuff. Like they had cool tag teams.
That's
and
where
stuff,
you grew up.
Yeah,
and there were bright spots. It wasn't all.
Bret Hart, HBK,
Bret Hart and Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels, and whether he's underrated or overrated or not, Diesel was a big.
No, he's still great, right? Yeah,
right. So I mean, it had moments. It wasn't all bad, but then you had this mixed in, and
it's pretty.
I'm all about it's a variety show, and there's segments for everybody, but that's
Yeah.
we didn't do that.
Yeah, all right. Well, with you, I'm going to go along with you as well, man, because I thought Dean Douglas, the only problem with him was, man, the fucking nails on the
Well,
chalkboard
the only
thing.
problem with him was that he had heat with the click. That's
Well, that too, that didn't help because he was
No, I'm
doing his
kidding.
thing.
Yeah, the nails on the chalkboard was.
God, it was rough. I was like, this is terrible. But I remember that SummerSlam 95, he was a big part of that era, and he was doing the whole thing in the backstage.
Yep.
But yeah, I think his career overall was cut short due to injuries. And he had substance abuse problems, but everybody did from ECW.
I'm glad to see he's cleaned up and he's
they seems to be good.
You
Yeah. So Dean Douglas is the best of the worst, man. For those
trained with Mick Foley.
Did he really?
At Dominic DeNucci's school.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
He's from Pittsburgh,
right?
And Foley used to travel.
Oh, I didn't know
7 hours, 8 hours to Pittsburgh from Long Island.
Wow.
Yeah, they trained together under DeNucci.
That's kind of fun. That's an interesting little tidbit there from Freddie. Freddie with the sauce. All right. Well, it's that time again. It really is the best time. And you call yourself a fan. And we're back. It's that time again. It's trivia time. And we've got it. It's our handy dandy. This is the new generation trivia game that came out. So it's a lot of old questions. We go through them here. 1 point for each. We're going to go back and forth here. You ready, Fred?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. It starts off with Brett's opponent at the May 1995 In Your House were, meaning there's multiples, Owen and Yokozuna. I almost called him Yakuza. Owen and Yokozuna, Undertaker and Lawler, or Hakushi and Lawler. Brett's opponents at the May 1995 In Your House.
Hakushi and Lawler.
I am also. What happens at the King of the Ring that year? Yeah, I'm gonna go Hakushi and Lawler as well. The answer is Hakushi and Lawler. So put a point on the board for both of us there. Freddie, keeping that lead. All right. The name given to ring announcer Howard Finkel at WrestleMania 9 was the Fink, Julius Finkster, or Finkus Maximus. And I am going to go first. It is Finkus Maximus.
That's right. Finkus Maximus, yeah.
Man, Finkus Maximus. We are correct. I really need Fred to mess up one of these. All right. The name of Rick Martel's cologne was Brutality, Rudeness, or Arrogance.
Arrogance.
It is Arrogance. God, man. Damn it, Fred. Fred keeping that lead. All right, number 4. Who was the Intercontinental Champion going into WrestleMania 6? Oh, God. It's on me.
Yeah. Oh, it's you? Okay.
Yeah, it is me. WrestleMania 6. It's obviously Ultimate Warrior.
Right, yeah. We were just talking about that, too.
Title
for title.
Honestly, WrestleMania 5 and WrestleMania 6 have the best VHS box art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. The Mega Powers Explode one, and then the one with Hogan and Warrior is unbelievable.
That was some of my favorite when they do, they do the KO shirts. Those were, I was so excited that we got the 5
Dude,
and
I
6.
thought those. I love that he does those. Those are awesome.
I
he's
didn't
coming
get
up
this year's. I'm pissed.
This is 8 this year, right? So next year's 9.
Yeah. So last year they did it differently. They did like KO and Sami Zayn Mania with the WrestleMania 39 logo.
That's right.
So wait, this year did they do 7? Did they skip?
Oh, it was 7.
So last year would have been KO Mania 7.
Okay.
But I don't know because they didn't do a KO Mania. I can't remember this year's shirt if it was 7 or 8.
I always like the stuff that they do.
But I didn't get this year.
Yeah, we didn't get. Yeah, Fred didn't get something at the merch.
That was the one thing I didn't get.
All right, last question. Who won the Intercontinental title at the 1992 Royal Rumble?
Wait a minute. I know the answer, but I gotta.
You think about it. It's on you, baby.
Piper.
I am gonna go with the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. It is Piper. Damn. Oh, because then he wrestles fucking Bret Hart. I'm an idiot.
Great match.
Yeah, that was a great match. Yeah, unbelievable. Well, Freddie stretched the lead out on me. Freddie took the lead. Great job, Frederick. Another great episode here, Freddie. You get 60 seconds, man. Let's hear. But we're gonna mix it up this time. Okay, we're mixing it up. You have to cut a promo in your best Macho Man voice, but the promo has to be you are the Macho Man, but it's as if you were Roman Reigns and you just came back and attacked Solo on SummerSlam. So this is the Raw after SummerSlam or SmackDown after SummerSlam. And you got to do the Macho Man voice, but you're Roman Reigns. You got 60 seconds. You ready? Kick it off.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Solo Sikoa. You thought you were the tribal chief, but no, the tribal chief is still Roman Reigns. And I will tell you this, Solo, you will acknowledge me. Yeah, dig it. You didn't acknowledge me for the last few months, but you will acknowledge me as your tribal chief. There is no other bloodline except the original bloodline. Yeah, that's Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and the Wise Man. Yeah, dig it. Freak out, because Roman Reigns is coming for you, Solo. You are not my blood. You are now my enemy, and you will acknowledge me.
That was incredible. I can't wait to post that entire thing on social media. That should be on your Hinge profile, Freddie. Excellent. Well, everybody, man, we have gone around the mat one more time this week. A lot of things happening in wrestling. So if you dig it, hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that like button or subscribe on Twitch. Follow us on Spotify or iTunes. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those things at AroundTheMatPod. I am the host, PJ North. My man Freddie Fresh on the right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Until next time, when we go around the mat.